Welcome to Crotoni Entertainment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Bree.
And I've been waiting for this one.
Oh, no.
You talked me into saving this one for just before Halloween.
I did. This is on me.
I've been waiting for this one. So we got Pumpkin Wrapper today. This is my favorite. This is Pumpkin Wrapper. Pumpkin Wrapper is my favorite.
What are you starting off with? That looks like
colors.
Dull oil?
Actually, I spray painted the whole thing with our Krylon 2X Perfect Gray Matte Spray Paint.
Yeah.
And doing Agrax Earthshades. But we're doing specifically doing Agrax Earthshade. By the way, that was a nice way for you to change the topic up for how much I love Pumpkin Wrapper.
Yep. Just trying to drive it away from Pumpkin Wrapper as much as possible.
Oh my god, I love Pumpkin Wrapper so much. Anyway, we did the Agrax Earthshade only on the let's call it the organic parts of Pumpkin Wrapper. That's not fair because there are vines too.
Yeah.
But this is the
orangies.
Yeah, the
orangey parts.
The pumpkin parts of Pumpkin Wrapper that aren't his pumpkin clothing. So for his pumpkin clothing, we used our Caribou Crimson Red Wash.
It looks so lavender. Like purpley in the way that maybe it's just the way from where I'm sitting.
It might be.
Ah.
I mean, it definitely dries red.
Yeah.
But it's also the colors being affected by the primer as well.
Yes.
As per our video about different colors, which was terrible. It was a really bad video.
It wasn't a really bad video. We've done much worse.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So secret videos out there of Bree that are so much worse.
Secret.
Bree Rule 34.
Nope, don't do that because there actually is a porn star who's named Bree. So don't do that.
Bree is very well acquainted with her body of work.
That's rude. No, what? Any kind of monetization that we were ever going to achieve just went.
We're never going to achieve monetization.
Blinking out the window.
There's no monetization to be found with these videos. I won't put in the effort to get better.
I mean,
I need a logo. I think I have a logo. I think I have a logo from Crotoni Entertainment from 20 years ago. Yes, Crotoni Entertainment was a thing 20 years ago. I have a logo from Crotoni Entertainment from like 20 years ago somewhere in this house. I don't know where it is. I think I might know where it is, but I'm still too lazy to go looking for it. And when I won't come up with an actual logo, what are the odds that I'm going to take the time to actually improve the quality of these videos?
I mean, that's
it's
legit.
just not going to happen. If we're going to progress forward, it's because you guys accept me for what I am. So anyway, we wait for that to dry, and we're going to jump in with our Citadel contrast, Griff Charger or Griff Hound Orange, whatever the orange one is. It's Griff something. They have like Griff Charger and Griff Hound and Griff Feather, and they have different shades. Well, one's like a gray, one's an orange. It's a whole big thing. Anyway, there's a lot of Griff things going on in contrast, but you're taking the orange one. I think it's Griff Charger. So anyway, guys, Pumpkin Wrapper is so much fun. He's so easy to paint. The whole thing is going to get this orange.
Oh, you mean like head and all?
All right, we're just
it's everything.
But see, here's the trick, and you can already see it a little bit. You'll see it more when it dries.
There is a definite difference between the two oranges.
Look at that. It's the same orange, but because we've modified the color underneath, and we didn't use that dark of a color underneath, so we're still letting the orange really be the orange. It's giving us two very distinctly different shades. Yeah. And that's what we're going for here. And you see I kind of, sort of missed some of the areas that are red. They don't really matter. I'm not worried about them. The viney type areas, they're irrelevant to us as people.
They're not, though. They're
just look at the shade difference. And that's what happens when you manipulate your contrast with a pre-wash. Mm-hmm. Or in some cases, even a pre-contrast. I've done some minis where I used contrast to create a blending for other contrast paints.
There you go.
But that's not the conversation for today's video. The conversation for today's video is the fact that Pumpkin Wrapper, wow, that's not supposed to be there. I'm not going to edit that out. That was supposed to be put at the end and removed and flipped.
Yep.
And I'm just going to leave it there. I don't care.
Yep. It was nice.
Nobody watches to this point anyway. People pop in and out. So anyway, we're dry brushing now.
Okay.
So we're taking the Kador Red Highlight Orange from the P3 line, and we are dry brushing all of the clothing areas first here. So we're just getting in there, and I'm sorry, I'm lying. We're not dry brushing. We're stippling.
Stipple.
We are stippling the clothing.
Stipple.
So stippling is very similar to dry brushing. We're taking a brush with kind of broader bristles. Usually a worn-out brush works fine because the bristles start to spread naturally. And we're wiping off most of the paint just like a dry brush. But instead of actually brushing up or down or side to side,
you go flip, 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 flip.
That's good radio. That's very good.
Yep.
Nobody could see a thing you were doing.
Yep.
You tap the brush in and out.
Yeah.
You do a tapping.
Blip, 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 blip. Blip, 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 blip.
You sound like a blooper from Super Mario Brothers. So we're just tapping the mini on the clothing areas, and we're dry brushing the mini on the pumpkin areas. So that would be the head and the throwable pumpkin or Green Goblin pumpkin bomb he's carrying there.
Yeah, it's pumpkin bomb.
So the reason we're stippling and dry brushing is, again, I want two different textures, as well as, the two different colors, but I'm still using the same oranges. But these textures will also continue to make a difference between these two shades. The stippling actually has a little bit of an effect of creating almost a textured, layered appearance on the clothing. It's a cheap and easy way to do.
You did it on Commander Crayfish.
I did. It's a cheap and easy way to do, but he doesn't have any clothing. He's running around naked. It's a cheap and easy way to do texture on clothing. Then we're going to go ahead and take our Ember Orange, which, for those of you who watch the videos, is the same color we painted around the rim of the monsters. And we're doing one additional very, very thin dry brush on the pumpkin portions of Pumpkin Wrapper.
Yep.
So not the clothing, but it's hard to say what different orange portions are because he's all Pumpkin Wrapper. Pumpkin Wrapper is all man.
No, but he's not.
Yeah, him and Eminem are doing an album together, probably. Vanilla Ice, too.
Wow. That's, you just went out there for, the whitest rappers physically known to man.
Pumpkin Wrapper is not...
That's true. That is a solid point. He is not...
So, anyway, we're not going to go down that road. He's a very...
Talented. He is not talented.
He's a very fine artist, is what he is. So, anyway, we've got our Citadel Contrast Warp Lightning now, and we're just painting this over all the vine-type areas on Pumpkin Wrapper, all the leaves and all the vines, and we're doing this over the orange for a very simple reason. And, Brie, do you know what that reason is?
Because you forgot that there was green?
I did not forget in the slightest. I even mentioned it earlier.
Because you were lazy?
Because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
That's dead on.
Yeah.
You could do something similar to what we did on the clothing and the pumpkins, and you could have done a different wash just over those areas. You could have done a green wash or another brown wash on those areas. You actually could have even done a purple or a blue wash.
Yeah, to really bring up the green.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I'm lazy.
Yep.
And he still is going to look good at the end regardless. So this is probably the longest portion because you can't be as sloppy as you've been in the other areas. The closest thing you have to do to being clean when doing the washes are making sure that the red wash doesn't get on the pumpkins, so around the neck and around the right hand. His right, stage left.
Yeah.
Stage right and stage left. Stage right.
Exit stage left.
And away we go. So, anywho.
Sorry, those were old bad Hanna-Barbera jokes.
Snorting brought to you by Brie.
It is.
I'm concerned about her lung health. Brie may die. She smokes like 6 packs a day.
I don't, though. No,
okay,
I just have
7 packs a day.
I have really, my sinuses.
Brie doesn't
not
smoke.
Great.
If Brie smoked, Brie wouldn't be in Crotoni Entertainment.
That
She
was
would have. This organization would have moved on without her.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not gonna.
Nobody got time for that, and nobody has money for that. That's my big.
Well, that's because all my money goes into miniatures.
Exactly. How do you buy as many board games if you're spending it all on cigarettes?
I know. We have a lot of board games. So we did a board game series previously. It wasn't very popular, so we stopped doing it. But I want to revisit board games. I think we should play some board games on the channel.
I think that's just a good way for us to finally actually sit down and play board games.
I mean, I want to get you to play more miniatures games. So we're playing Free Blades on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I actually saw it on this.
That's right. I need to change that group to just the people who are actually... I need to reach out and see if we can find more people to come over for Wednesday game night, too. Instead of me stomping the same people over and over again. But since there's going to be 3 people, we're looking at Free Blades, because it's just easier to manage Free Blades with 3 people. We got to do a Free Blades battle report on the channel at some point.
We should.
You know how we're not talking about Pumpkin Wrapper?
Well, because we're still painting the green.
We are. You know what we should be talking about? The ongoing project we have of converting Power Rangers Heroes of the Good Figures to one-page rules, Age of Fantasy.
Yeah.
And actually, that's going to be the topic of an upcoming video on a Tips and Tech. Is actually working out some of the thoughts behind designing the army. Yeah. Because even with a points calculator that tells us how to fit into the system, there still is some army construction.
There's some
game theory that has to be involved.
Well, and especially finding that good balance between a playable game, playable characters that work, and staying true to the Power Rangers. Like, you still want Billy to have a kind of thing that looks like a Billy weapon.
Yeah, still be Billy.
Yeah.
Well, we're also kind of putting some self-imposed restrictions on it. And I've been thinking a lot about the monsters and whatnot, because I realized that the Ranger squads we build have actually a lot of hitting power to them.
Oh, they hurt.
So even though even though these monsters are the same size as the Rangers, I'm thinking we should do like a wounds increase on them. And we haven't even talked about if we want to do like units of monsters or individual. Everything is an individual.
We actually have talked about that.
But we haven't talked about it on camera.
Every time we talk about it, you just are like, blah, 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 and you like walk away. So, I don't know what happened.
I mean, that's what colors are we using?
Green?
Brown.
What brown?
What brown was this?
Or is this the deep brown, the Rhinoxide?
Was it Rhinoxide? It might be Rhinoxide. Guys, this is probably Rhinoxide. I don't know. Rewind the video, hit pause. You'll see it on there. And then we're doing Abaddon Black, or Abaddon Black. And the black is just going inside his pumpkin eyes and his pumpkin mouth. Which really, he has two mouths and one eyes. Because his head's not on upside down. It's just bizarrely shaped.
It is not. It's on upside down, and that is probably the part of this character.
It's not on upside down. It's just bizarrely shaped. You're being a pumpkinist. You're being a plantist, a botanist. Nope, botanist doesn't work.
Nope. No, I've never understood why they put his head upside down. Is that
it's not upside down? He has two mouths and one long eye.
I know, and or they cut him an eyebrow.
No, it's not an eyebrow. That's just one long eye. The other ones are his two mouths.
That's terrifying.
He also has two buttholes.
What? No.
One's for things going out, one thing's for going in.
Oh, God.
He stores soup in one of them. Guys, listen to Magic Tavern if you don't already do it. Welcome to Magic Tavern. Check it out. Anyway, how do you figure a spider? Anyway. Great. It's a great podcast, guys. Listen to it. So, yeah, we need to have some consideration about, how many wounds we're talking about. Yeah. I was thinking about going all the way up to possibly tough 9 on some of them.
I mean, that would, considering that we've got some that are absolutely like AP2 to AP4,
but if we have,
it's going to hurt.
But if we have units of monsters, it all ends up working out.
That's true.
So this is a green. I think it's Warpstone Glow. It really doesn't matter, honestly. It doesn't matter.
You just want a slightly brighter green.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what brown or what green you use for the pumpkin stem or for the highlight we're doing here. You're just picking a brighter green, preferably not something in the neon variety, because that's a little too bright. As much as I do love using that on like painting goblins and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little too bright for here, but you just want a green that's brighter than the green contrast you've done. And all we're doing is we're not even picking out the high areas. That's normally what I would tell you highlighting is. Really, we're just repainting them, but we're not painting over the whole thing. So this is a lot of vines. So there's not really a high point or a low point that's really, really well defined. But you can see even from this kind of drawn out shot how much of the dark green is showing through, and we're just basically just putting some of this bright green on it. Mm-hmm. There's not really a rhyme or a reason to it. Just do what looks good and pick a green that looks good. I don't want you to get caught into this idea that I don't have the right green to highlight it. It doesn't matter. You just need a green that's brighter than the contrast.
Pick a color a green that you like, a green or green. Don't go to like the blue greens. They like a yellow green is probably a better plan.
The only pumpkin wrapper, especially if you want to stay relatively true to his look, is a green. I mean, you could go to like a teal if you wanted to. You could go to a green and build up to a yellow on the tips if you wanted to. I mean, all of these are options. That way he's a
slightly dead pumpkin, which is when you know you should actually harvest your pumpkins.
But we're going for something semi show appropriate, semi canonical, I guess, if you will. Canon is stupid. Semi-canonical, if you will. But you don't even need the contrast paint. You can just use a dark green.
Yeah.
The contrast paint is just a little easier to work with because it comes out of the pot freer flowing. So it's a little bit more easy to work with. You don't have to give it a couple shots of tequila to get it going.
I mean, take a couple of shots of tequila.
Take a couple shots of tequila to get it going. You don't have to thin it down the same way. You're not going to... It doesn't layer on...
Don't put your tequila in the paint, though.
It doesn't layer on glumpy. It's not all frumpy.
It's not all glumpy.
I've been traveling and I'm all frumpy. Guys, watch Ants. It's a really good new movie.
I feel frumpy.
It's this new movie by Woody Allen that's like 20 years plus 25 years old. This is a good movie. I like Ants.
I know you do. Chris, and I can speak to this. I am not as big a fan of the contrast as Chris is.
That's because you're a monster.
Apparently it's because I'm a monster. It's because I love to dry brush and stuff like that, and I am a build up the colors.
You haven't tried it enough.
and I like to go for a slightly more naturalistic.
Naturalists. Is that like naturist?
Yes.
It's like nude painting?
Nude painting. No, natural look than Chris does.
I'm trying to put together a bonus Halloween episode. You and I need to paint to do that.
Yes, we do.
So we have some Halloween minis we got, and
yes, that we printed.
I don't want to spoil them right now, but I don't know if they're going to be ready for Halloween. So they might be our Thanksgiving pumpkin harvest minis. They kind of fit for that, I guess.
Yeah.
Make them happier looking.
Darn.
But yeah, so the main reason to use the contrasts in our Everyman painting style is lazy. It makes it, it churns minis for me. I've painted so many minis this year. So many more than you. Like normally in the past, I painted an army for a war game in a year plus a couple of straggler models. I've painted way more than that this year.
Oh, yeah.
And the contrast really just helped me move things along through my backlog. Because as my backlog gets smaller, I feel like I can spend more time on those bigger minis. But you don't have to use the contrast. They help because they're pre-thinned. They're not going to glump up on you the same way. They'll do some of that cheating highlighting for you. They just give a lot of features to the Everyman painting style that we're doing. So join us for our tips and tricks, where we're going to talk about converting some of these guys to Age of Fantasy.
Yes.
And we may even do a both thing. We may sit down and come up with ways to do like units of monsters where they have like 3 wounds each, and then individual roving monsters where you could buy Pumpkin Wrapper in a unit, or you could buy Pumpkin Wrapper by himself, maybe a 6 wounds by himself. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
That seems like a lot.
That's the concept of a whole video.
You're a lot.
And we're going to talk about game design. Oh, here's another green. Which green was this? Warboss green, I think. In my mind, it's still Goblin green. That's the name of the color.
That's the old name, yeah.
That's the name of the color when I first... It was slightly different paint because, actually, interesting fact, the P3 line of paints is made by the company that used to make the Citadel paints. One of the big reasons for renaming all of the Citadel paints to what they're named today, whereas, Chaos Black turned to Abaddon Black and stuff like that,
right,
is because they actually changed painting manufacturer. And the old manufacturer, the names were attached to specific color codes.
Oh.
And all of the relabeled paints are actually slightly different color codes.
So we found that one out the hard way.
Well, the old Space Wolves Gray, which was one of my favorite colors ever, and I have a whole army that's the highest highlight of their skin, GW doesn't have it anymore. They have their new Space Wolves Gray as a contrast. Their other one that came out before that was called Rust Gray, and it had distinctly more blue in it.
Yes, it did.
However, the P3 Frostbite is the exact same color formula as the old Space Wolves Gray. And I cannot find that paint anywhere, guys. It's so hard to find, and mine is completely out, and I'm sad. But I'm working on that issue.
I thought we'd found one the other day that you were going to try.
We found one I'm going to try.
Yeah.
That's where my working it out comes from. I'm concerned.
It's making him frumpy.
I was part of a conversation recently about what the best line of paints are going to be. And here's my don't at me, because here's the answer. There are 3 big lines of paints.
Yes.
Those 3 big lines of paints are Vallejo, GW, and Army Painter. Those are the 3 big lines. And when I say big lines, they are the most easily accessible. You can walk into most game stores and find 1, 2, or all 3 of those with regularity. The P3 line, not as regular. It's a wonderful line of paints. There's a bunch of other lines as well. I know Duncan, formerly of Games Workshop, is coming out with his own line. I think it's called Two Thin Coats.
Yes.
He's coming out with his own line. But the big 3, we're going to call them Citadel or GW, Army Painter, and Vallejo. And put it out there. Don't at me. Come fight me. Go ahead and unsubscribe because you're not going to like the answer. Vallejo is the best quality. GW is the best overall. And Army Painter is hot garbage.
God, they're coming.
I have not had a good...
see the ats coming at us with
I have not had a good experience with almost any Army Painter paint I've touched. They're either too mustardy, they're too glumpy, or they're just too thick.
I've never had decided that glumpy is a legit way to describe paint.
Games Workshop wins because the contrast line...
and it's everywhere?
So we're going to go to the Ember Orange. We're going to paint the base.
Yep,
we do this all the time.
Base.
It's more prevalent than any of the other lines. The contrast line is like pure gold.
Yeah.
And it's very, very accessible because it has that whole concept of the base, then the layer, then the dry brush. It's very easy for a beginner to use Games Workshop. Yeah. And it's the McDonald's of paints. you're going to get the same thing out of every pot you ever buy. Every Games
Yeah.
Workshop white is going to be garbage. Every Abaddon black is going to be the same black. Every green is going to be the same green. It's always going to be the same. It's the McDonald's.
I like that you
the
just
GW whites are garbage, and they're the worst thing ever made in all time. Don't at me. They're terrible, and we hate them all. Pumpkin Wrapper's done. We've been ranting on stuff. Vallejo makes the best quality product. They have the best colors. They have the best consistency in their paint, but you're not always going to get the same bottle every time. I've gotten two of the same color, and one's been fairly thick and one's been liquidy. But the color is vibrant. It's gorgeous. It's good to work with. And Army Painter belongs in the trash. Army Painter, feel free to sponsor this, and I'll change my mind. Anyway, Pumpkin Wrapper is all completed. Let's take a still photo of me. This is what that photo over there was kind of supposed to be. It was in progress.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about Pumpkin Wrapper. I love painting this mini. This wraps up our Halloween miniatures month. Happy Halloween, everybody. We're starting our Thanksgiving theme next week. There is a theme. They seem like disparate models, but there really is going to be a theme for what's going on. Get your Pumpkin Wrappers painted. Leave a comment. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button for notifications. Tell your friends about us. Tell them the two crazy people you listen to that rant incoherently while painting miniatures are up there. Somebody said we have quality Here's the Grid content. Guys, somebody else make Here's the Grid content because we cannot be a gold standard in that. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week with our Thanksgiving theme and tomorrow night with Bree plays Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster.
Bye!
Drag it out. Drag it out. There's more video. Drag it out!
Oh, it hurts.